speeding.
Hey everybody, this is Hayden.
This is Kristen.
And we're here to say Happy New Year from the hangar at Paper Plane. New year, same old us. I did get a new mug. Retired the tomato mug, but I have a new one from Sweet Maria's. Shout out to Tom. And yeah, we're here to talk about this New Year's, new month's passport. What do we got today? We have another weird one to say. It's technically spelled phonetically, but the phonetics are weird.
What's interesting is I feel like African countries are easier for me to pronounce, even though they have infinitely more syllables and letters. But this is Kouoptamo, which is
perfect.
Woo!
No notes.
Which is from Cameroon, which is in Central Africa, bordered by Nigeria and Chad. Also the Republic of Congo, I believe.
Yes, I think it's touching it just a little bit.
So countries that we've looked at, and one actually coming soon. So we'll speak behind the curtain there.
This is a really interesting coffee. It has a pretty, a great profile, but what we really find interesting about it is the fact that it's from Cameroon. Cameroon's not typically a origin that you see in many coffee shops, and that's really because it mostly produces Robusta coffee. So if you don't know, there are two main species of coffee. There's Robusta and Arabica. Everything that we've had in our shop has always been Arabica. Any specialty shop you see in America, pretty much most places in the world, are mainly going to be using Arabica. That's the coffee that has many varietals with thousands and thousands of aromatics and flavors in them. Robusta, on the other hand, has about half the DNA. And so because of that, it lacks a lot of sweetness, lacks a lot of flavor, nuance, and it also has a very, very high caffeine content. So it's very, common in a lot of traditional blends, traditional Italian espresso blends, or instant coffees, because it keeps really well. It tastes very, very strong, little rubbery, if you ask me, and it makes a lot of really good crema. So Cameroon's mostly known for producing Robusta, but every now and again they produce some really fantastic Arabica crops. This one is actually the Java varietal, which gets its name from the introduction and popularity on the island of Java, though it is actually native to Ethiopia, as many, if not most, coffee varietals are.
Most months we have a vision of where we want to take you, not just location-wise, but also for our flavor profile for the month. Once again, we go hard on our tasting notes, but we wanted something a little bit simple. It's for the holidays, everyone's palate is very, very tired, and you want something simple that you can just sip on and forget about everything and maybe disassociate a bit. And this is perfect for that.
What we can tell you is that it's a very lovely coffee, but it is a very simple coffee. Simplicity doesn't necessarily have to be boring, and this is definitely not a boring coffee. Very easy to drink, very easy to sip. Yeah, we're all tired. Look, it's the 6th. We're late again doing these videos. I'm still waking up. I tried to stay up for New Year's and I made it to 15 minutes before and I still fell asleep. So we're all tired. We need something that's simple and not fussy, and you can just sip or you can chug, because we all need to chug a lot of caffeine right now.
Is that a dig at me? Because I'm rude. I like really fussy, bougie coffees. The line is here. This is simple, bougie. I appreciate all of them.
I appreciate the crazies, but I'm a simple man.
I will also drink the crazy one as my first cup, because I don't function on caffeine, because I have issues apparently, but.
I've been doing this for a while, but first thing in the morning, I still just need hot caffeinated bean water. I don't really care too much where it comes from.
I worked in pastry. I was in at 5 in the morning. I didn't do caffeine.
Cut from different cloths. All right. So yeah, super simple, warm, buttery on the nose. Oh, that is really nice.
That is really nice.
We're doing this a little bit later in our day, and this is honestly a really, really nice way to finish up our day. I could take this and just take a nap right now.
Another common trait amongst caffeine addicts is just, I can chug caffeine, it's fine, I will take a nap afterwards.
This is definitely a very comforting cup of coffee, and the first note we have in there is actually a very comforting note for those who recognize it. If you go to the cafe, you're pretty familiar with Milo. Milo, that's really specific Colombian, John? Or is this it's just Latin?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like
it's like
Central South America?
South of the equator.
Yeah.
I guess like all of my south of the equator friends, like South African friends,
I was gonna say
Filipino friends,
Australia too, right?
Vietnam, what's that?
Australia
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, Australia, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Like,
the Southern
my-
Hemisphere.
My
Yeah.
Portuguese friends, no idea. They was
Yeah.
like, you guys have Milo, right? And I'm like, no.
So we have a lot of Milo in the cafe. You're probably really familiar with that. It's in a lot of our drinks. In America growing up, Milo wasn't as like prevalent, but what we did have was Ovaltine, which, do you want to describe what Ovaltine is?
Oh, Ovaltine. It is a chocolate malt beverage. It is usually powdered, added to milk. Personally, I grew up with it over ice cream, but it was billed back, I believe, in the 30s and 40s, mostly on radio, and especially with Little Orphan Annie. That was the biggest radio show that it was associated with, and just for kids to get their calcium and drink your Ovaltine, kids, and it worked. And still to this day, that's kind of the catch-all for it. But it's very distinct molten chocolate. We tasted malted chocolate immediately out the gate, but we're like, is it malted milk ball? Is it two separate notes there, or is it something combined? And we're like, no, that's Ovaltine.
It tastes like Ovaltine.
Yeah.
So if you like Ovaltine or anything in that like wheelhouse, you're gonna really, really enjoy this coffee. There's a little bit more going on than just Ovaltine. What would you say?
Warmth, but that warmth comes from baking spice. So baking spice is interesting. It's quite literally anything. The way I can describe baking spice to people who don't understand is somewhere between pumpkin spice and a pie crust, because baking spice, it's cinnamon, it's nutmeg, allspice, occasionally clove, which is literally everything you would find in pumpkin spice. But I always associate with warm tones and warm colors, and you always tie that in with pie crust too. So it's somewhere in that line, but it's just there's always a distinct warmth to it, and this coffee has that. Very similar. Actually, I feel like there's always the common thread from the month before. Last month with our Costa Rica, there was a warmth there. And there's a warmth here too, but it's just slightly different. And just that seems to carry forward. There's always one attribute that just gets carried into the next. And that's not intentional.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Or the way the Ovaltine stirs. Don't put that on. You can take that one out. That was bad.
The way the coffee grinds. It was right there. I'm sorry. I was waiting. That's why I thought you were going with that.
No.
Shut up.
I didn't say anything. So
You did not have to.
we got a lot of warmth. We got like some malt. There's definitely some chocolate, baking spice. Something doesn't taste like pie crust, but very reminiscent of just pie baking in the oven. There's a little bit of fruit in there.
We went back and forth on this for a while because when we think of dark fruits, there are so many. Talking about the coffee flavor wheel really quick, you have your broad spectrum of notes. You have fruity, nutty, floral, but then those get segmented down into smaller portions. And whenever we go with, hey, this is dark sticky or dark fruity, there are probably 10 variations of that. So is it this? No. Is it this? I mean, maybe, but. And we settled very much on prune.
Yeah. Which sounds kind of boring.
Or
it's
weird, because I feel like most people associate prune with your grandparents and
yeah,
juice.
it just seems kind of like an old farty thing to be eating. But they're pretty delicious. And especially in the context of this, what we're basically trying to say is like it's not a jammy, super in your face, sticky type of fruitiness. It's not really as strong or distinct as a blackberry, but a prune has just a very mellow, kind of tacky, but not super sticky sweetness about it. Not as sweet as like a brown sugar, but definitely not as juicy as like a jam. So we still in prune. It's just it's mellow. It's a little bit fruity. Goes down easy.
Prune is also essentially a dried plum. So you think of that complexity of a plum, the sweetness of a plum, and just drying fruit will mellow it out, but also concentrate it. So it's the depth and the darkness of the plum, and the sweetness is there. It shifts slightly. Same with grape versus raisin. It's very similar sweetness, but it shifts.
Yeah, I gotta get more. I'm just drinking this for real. There's no movie magic. I'm just chugging this coffee. It's really good.
I would have poured. It's my job.
I have agency. Anywho, you should come by. You should try this coffee. It's really fantastic, especially after this holiday season. I'm sure you're tired. You spent a lot of money. You've eaten all the rich foods. I'm
still working off cookies.
Yeah, I put a lot of cookies in the fridge. come grab a bag of this, sip on it, sit, take a nap, read a book, listen to music, do so in silence. I'm sure everyone's exhausted from like their family. Not mine, of course, I love my family. Great hanging out with you guys this year. But I know some of you guys have some busy families, so yeah.
Lie on your back, put on your favorite record, disassociate, drink this coffee.
Yeah, it's really good.
Your soul will thank you.
And don't forget, if you want to try this coffee and also try a bunch of others without having to lift another finger, go ahead and subscribe to the Passport program. You'll get coffees like this every single month. Oh, yeah.
And we will send you the passport. And I will say, one of my favorite things in this, and we didn't touch on this, is description in 5 words or less. And for this, I chose comfort in the winter quiet.
I like that.
I'm usually the one who fills that slot out. Actually, I'm always the one who fills that slot out.
I filled out the first one.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes, you did.
I did.
So, from our nerdy hearts to your cups, enjoy.